You ever wonder why Stellar XLM isn't popping as much as other cryptos out there? Well, I'm going to share with you a stat directly from Stellar that explains the reason why perfectly. And no, this is not Klaus being negative. I'm actually using Stellar's quarterly presentations to tell you a story. Every quarter, Stellar does a review. Metrics, signings, big things, stuff happening in the pipeline, relevant assets, and so forth. These quarterly reviews, sometimes referred to as executive deck presentations, tell the story of why people are not putting as much oomph into Stellar anymore. Like I said in the beginning, this is not me being negative. I'm using Stellar's own presentations to tell you the story. Let's hear how important relevant assets are directly from Justin.
To do that, we're going to focus on what we call relevant assets. So these are assets that are tethered to real financial instruments, most of them to fiat currencies such as euros, US dollars, Argentinian pesos.
So like Justin said, relevant assets are a huge thing, right? And a lot of people look at this stuff. Now, these executive deck presentations are often done to make things look amazingly good. But what they don't tell you is the bad story. Let's go to the whiteboard. Now remember, Justin is the one that said relevant assets are one of the big things because it has to do with fiat, right? What relevant assets are on the chain? Let me show you something. I've got Stellar's quarterly reviews over a couple years up on the screen. Up in the top left is right here, relevant assets. This was Q1 2021, okay, a couple years ago. They had 82 relevant assets. That was in 2021. Now on the bottom of the screen here, I'll move it up so you can see, I've got Q2 of 2022, so a year later. They actually have less relevant assets, right? They went from 82 to 79. So we lost relevant assets. Let's now go 1 year ahead. The most recent presentation, I've got it up on the screen. 79 relevant assets. So no, there is no more relevant assets being built on the chain over the last 2 years. I'm telling you, this is not me being negative. This is what financial analysts, this is what investors, this is what big shots look at to see if things are growing. So if over the last 2 years, you're not attracting more relevant assets, are you really growing? Sure, you can tell me your transactions are going through the roof, but if the majority of your transactions are a fraction of a penny, then what's the case? It's all about attracting relevant assets. The other thing that is scaring big time money away from Stellar, making it go to other chains out there, has to do with those relevant assets. If there's only 79 relevant assets on the chain, and we know there's thousands and thousands and thousands of assets minted on the chain, that tells you the majority of them serve zero purpose. They're scams or honestly don't do crap for the chain itself. Now, this is one of the many problems that Stellar is having. And like I said, I use Justin's own words to tell us how important relevant assets are and to show you over the last several years, Stellar has actually lost relevant assets. I want you to think of all the other chains out there that are building more and more, attracting builders, attracting TVL. Stellar is not doing that. The executive deck presentations they do in their quarterly reviews highlight the successes. They do that to kind of build the base up, to make people think that they're doing a good job. But those of us that have done executive reviews, this guy behind the camera, know exactly what to look for. I can point out at least 8 different metrics that scare me on top of relevant assets. If you want me to do an executive review of Stellar's quarterly performance, let me know in the comments below and I'll be glad to do it. And I cannot reiterate this enough. I do not make the news, I report the news. And what I'm telling you right now is if more relevant assets aren't being put on the chain, people are losing faith in the chain. If TVL is not going up, people are losing faith in the chain. I understand bear market, but you're telling me over 2 years, yes, 2 years, Stellar has not acquired or been able to attract any more relevant assets to its chain? That's a big problem. And that's why you see other cryptos out there rallying more. That's why you're seeing more TVL, more building happening on other chains. It's because of concerns like this. There are people out there that are able to look through these fluffy executive deck presentations and start breaking down the numbers even further and see that there are actually major problems with the Stellar chain. And as much as you want to tell me that transactions are going through the roof, I'll come back at you and say, but no one really cares because TVL is down and the majority of those transactions are fractions of a penny. So who really cares about that? And if you still don't believe me and think I'm just being negative, I'll leave you with this gem. This is also from the most recent quarterly review. Total payments down 62%. Average daily DEX volume down 78%. Again, operations are up, but who cares if the operations are a fraction of a penny? And those total accounts, awesome, up 15%, but the majority of accounts hold less than 10 XLM. And here's what I'm talking about regarding those asset holders. You have almost 6 million asset holders that own 0.1 to 10 XLM. 6 million out of the 7.2 million. 1 million own between 10 and 1,000 XLM, which means what, everyone? They own less than $100 worth of XLM, with the majority of holders out there owning less than $1 worth of XLM. So total accounts going up is cool, but if the total accounts ain't buying big, doesn't really matter, does it? So what does it matter if you're accumulating pennies while others are stacking racks to the moon?